Why is the rate of extramarital affairs in the workplace actually increasing? 61% of men who are already involved in extramarital affairs do not consider it wrong in any way, and in these cases, their partners are their coworkers. You aren't even intimate with your spouse because you're so exhausted. How can you give them time? You can't focus, you can't connect. Extramarital affairs in the workplace. Is this a new term for us? Not at all. These incidents are constantly circulating, whether on various social media pages or in real life, passed from person to person. Is the rate of these extramarital affairs in any given office or sector suddenly increasing? It's not a sudden spike, it's a gradual rise. The reason it has suddenly come into the limelight is definitely due to a recent incident that created a global uproar. But if I ask whether this is a new phenomenon, as I was saying, it's not new at all. In Bangladesh, these stories might not always make it to the newspapers, but we often read about similar incidents in neighboring countries. As I mentioned, even in Bangladesh, stories sometimes surface on social media about an affair with an office colleague, leading to a public confrontation, a fight or brawl with the spouse, which then gets recorded and posted on Facebook. Some videos go viral, others don't. If we look at neighboring countries, extramarital affairs in the office sector have frequently made headlines, causing marriages to break up. In some extreme cases, people have gone so far as to kill their life partners to sustain the affair that started at work. Recently, a news story from India caught our eye, where a woman, in a very planned way, killed her husband because she needed to keep her affair going. So this issue of office affairs is, as I'll say again, nothing new. It's a very old practice, and its prevalence is increasing day by day. Today, I'll share some survey data on this. I couldn't find any specific surveys for Bangladesh, but various surveys have been conducted in our neighboring countries and internationally. I'll share some of those findings with you. Naturally, what happens in our neighboring countries influences our lives because we like to follow trends and admire their lifestyles. We will also discuss why the rate of extramarital affairs in the workplace is increasing and what we can do to protect ourselves, even if just a little. First, let's look at a survey. One survey found that 34% of affairs happen with a coworker, where at least one person is married. If we break down this data, it means 1 in every 3 married individuals is having an extramarital affair with a coworker. We all know about dating apps like Tinder or Bumble, where married and unmarried people alike can create accounts. But what if I told you about an app called Gleeden, where only married individuals can open accounts? Just think about the extent of our moral decay. We've created a social app named Gleeden, where only married individuals can create accounts for the purpose of having extramarital affairs, checking out others, dating, hooking up, or having one-night stands. Let's see what the survey on this app says. Suddenly in 2024, its usage increased by 270%, with 128% of that increase being women. If I share another piece of data on what percentage of married people are unfaithful with a coworker, it's 25%, and this research was conducted in India. Let me share another finding with you from a study in our neighboring country, India. It shows that those already involved in extramarital affairs do not consider it a crime. To them, it's a very normal thing. It's a special friend, a special pastime. The survey says 76% of women and 61% of men who are already involved in an extramarital affair do not see it as wrong in any way, and their partners in these affairs are, of course, their coworkers. If you've noticed, dating apps have been created exclusively for married people, and they don't consider having an extramarital affair with a coworker to be an offense. It's just a pastime for them, a very natural thing. But why? Now that I've brought up the why, let's explore the reasons. First, if we look at our work-life balance or the amount of time we spend at the workplace, you'll notice that if a person's office hours are 9 to 5, can they really leave right at 5? Very few people can. For most, it's often 6 p.m. by the time they finish their work. Some might be able to finish by 6 but choose not to. They might stretch it out because they don't enjoy being at home, so they leave at 7 p.m. and get home around 9 p.m. So if the office starts at 9 a.m., they're not leaving home at 9. They are probably leaving at 7 or 8 a.m. So a person spends the lion's share of their day at the office, naturally forming a close bond with their colleagues. The pressure of work creates an incredible amount of mental exhaustion and stress. When they share this mental pressure with the coworker, both are sharing the same kind of stress. In many cases, since their work is similar, their interests and topics of discussion are also the same. And because their mental stress is alike, one can quickly understand the other. So their sharing increases significantly, which can lead to an emotional involvement. It might start with the thought, I'm just sharing my emotions, we are nothing but friends. Believe me, when I sit in counseling sessions, I'm not judging anyone, but the scenario and the terminology are always the same. When justifying their actions to a wife or husband, they say, no, I'm not in an extramarital affair with my colleague, it's just a friendship. They use these exact words. He or she understands my pain and I just vent my emotions to them. That's it, nothing more. But what starts as a friendship gradually deepens into intimacy. As I mentioned, they have no work-life balance. Think about it, you spend the majority of the day at the office. How much time are you giving your partner? Whether it's your husband or wife, you're depriving them of your time. We are often so exhausted that when we get home, we just gobble down some food, wash up, and fall asleep. We don't feel like talking to anyone because we are completely drained. We've had to handle so many meetings and so many hassles. We simply have no energy left to talk. In many cases, we see this communication gap. You don't even know what's happening in your spouse's life. They might have a special day or a bad day they want to share, but you're so exhausted with your life that you don't talk to them. Day after day, a communication gap forms. You can't even connect with your own child. But you justify it by thinking, one day my child will be proud of my identity as their father or mother because I work in such a high position. But the emotional needs and support your child requires remain unfulfilled. The conversations and quality time your spouse needs from you are missing. That exchange of feelings is void. You're so exhausted that you gradually end up in a sexless marriage. There's no intimacy because you're too tired. How can you give time? You can't focus, you can't connect. And slowly, husbands and wives become roommates while co-workers become closer friends. From this point, let's move to a third one. When there's such a high-stress situation in a company, they often arrange various parties to give their employees some relief. These parties can sometimes get quite wild, where things like alcohol, weed, or other vulgarities are allowed, and many people start seeking physical comfort. Are these cases only happening in neighboring countries? Does it not happen in Bangladesh? Our experience says it certainly does happen in Bangladesh, but it's not publicized as much. Readily available weed or alcohol consumption is common. One-night stands or hookups become normal when colleagues get involved in various parties. Let me share another piece of information from a survey. It reports that for 1 in 4 partners involved in an extramarital affair with a coworker, the relationship started or the intimacy grew during company picnics. 19% of people said their involvement with the colleague began at company-arranged holiday parties. And of course, there are business trips. We know that offices send employees on trips, and many people start their love life, their extramarital affair, with colleagues on these trips. Regarding the wild parties I mentioned, a survey was conducted in Kolkata, Mumbai, Delhi, and Mangalore, and it found that 89% of people reported regularly attending these wild parties, and 74%, of which 55% were in Bangalore, said they formed their attachments with colleagues of the opposite sex at these very parties. So if this is the scenario in a neighboring country, will Bangladesh really be that far behind? We do try to follow the culture of the countries around us,